our SEO panel, and you'll all be able to ask your questions to 4 major SEO experts. So we've already seen, 3 and Joost. We've already seen Joost this morning, and we just saw Marcus. And maybe you had the opportunity to see Roy Huiskes, who is a Dutch SEO and actually focuses on the Dutch market. He has been in SEO for more than 10 years, right?
Yeah.
Because
we were working together in 2006.
Yes. We know him because when Joost started his first SEO job, Roy was his colleague. Roy also was at my wedding, so we've known each other for quite some time. And then we have Dave Naylor. Hi, Dave. And Dave is from the United Kingdom, and he actually, he was like a mentor for our Yoast. So back in, I think, 2007?
What, mate?
2001.
No.
Yeah, pre-Google.
Pre-Google?
I was doing SEO pre-Google, yeah.
You were doing SEO before the dinosaurs were here. But
well, Alta Vista was around anyway, so.
So he's been in SEO forever, before Google even existed. But then in 2007 he met Joost, and he met Joost in one of like a conference like this, and Joost was asking all kinds of difficult questions, and then afterwards they went for a bite, which was McDonald's, I heard last night.
Apparently it wasn't, I was corrected.
It was a burger place, I know that. It's
and then Joost got the opportunity to start in the SEO market, right?
Well, pretty much. I think Dave sent like 3 emails after that. One was to Danny Sullivan, and if you've been in the SEO space for a long time, you'll have heard of Danny because he ran search engine strategies, later on search marketing expo, etc. The other one was to Matt Cutts.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
I'll shut up.
Michiel is going to moderate this whole thing, and you'll be able to ask all of your questions.
There you go.
Yeah.
So before you all have the opportunity to ask any questions you want, I got one question of my own. We have 3 countries on stage. How does search differ per country? What is different in Germany, in the UK, in the Netherlands? Is there any difference?
There's a lot of difference.
Pick one.
I tend to say that the
language.
Oh, really?
Well, so you take the easy one?
Yeah.
The more money Google makes in a market, the better policed the market usually is. So they make a lot less money in Holland, so there's more spam. They make more money in the UK, so there's slightly less spam. I think that's probably the biggest factor.
Yeah.
And it works better in the markets where they make more money.
And obviously, as Marcus said about the CTR, you can fake click-through rates in countries that are not as well policed, let's say.
Yeah, Britney Spears naked. You know, people click on it. Well, is Britney Spears still attractive? I don't know.
Not anymore.
Do we have younger people in the
she's
audience?
old now. She's old.
So who now? Naked? I don't know. No. None of the above. None of the below.
That was just one to kick off. Any questions from the audience?
Do we have
anything related to search? Your works.
Hey, Joost, I remember from a WordCamp last year or the year before, you told us about search or the algorithms adapting live, so it's more easy to manipulate it. Can you give us an update about that?
I don't remember the exact wording and what the context was. So what's been happening is, what Marcus was talking about really, is AI is changing some of that in where Google is really trying to figure out what you do live. The example I gave this morning is very telling as well, where they figure out how to listen to specific words within like a day. There's not someone in a building sitting somewhere saying, the guy is saying YoastCon. It's the AI figuring out what I'm saying. So there's a lot that's changing there. At the same time, if I'm honest, Google doesn't change all that much, all that fast. It's just that your competitors are getting better as well. And what's changing slightly is how Google is crawling the web, so how it perceives websites, and that makes a lot of difference too.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose if you look at like when caffeine was first introduced to the world, it was really horrible and clunky, and you could see like clusters colliding and going, this is rubbish. And I'm pretty sure that at one point they kind of went, we got to turn this off and go back to the old system. But the outline that they set out originally was build great content, we will find it, we'll index it, and we'll bring people to you. They just couldn't do that originally, and they're getting there now, I think, slowly but surely.
And I think this is the comforting thing for everybody doing SEO, right? Because I think before, when we started, or still 10 years back, right, this was a lot more technical, there was a lot more technical approaches to things, and now it's basically really boils down to, you have to have a crawlable site, so Google can figure out what's on it and actually crawl through it. You have to have good content that satisfies the search need, and the third thing, it's ideally so good that people refer to other people when they're looking for something different. If it's a normal link or if it's a link on Facebook, on Twitter, it really doesn't matter. Every link that is sending traffic is gold, pretty much. And that's about it, right? It's like really just, actually what Carl said earlier today, right? It's like really think about what your user wants and fulfill this, and Google will pick up the right signals if this is really happening.
Google is pretty much a browser in many ways. I think there was on Moz an article about which Googlebot is, what is Googlebot? There was an article there on how does Googlebot actually crawl your site and what does it do, and they were pretty much showing that it's Chrome 41, which is a while ago, but a pretty old version of Google Chrome. But that is exactly what Google uses now to crawl the web most of the time.
To give an opinion, now we're at 62. At the moment with Google Chrome. So,
yeah. So they're a bit behind. They can't read everything. They can't understand all JavaScript. So if you make your website too fancy, it'll break. And it breaks a lot.
Yeah, like escape fragments when they changed that this month. Dicks.
So following that and Google crawling your website and so, how do AMP and instant articles and Google just showing your stuff in Google influence this in the next year?
Isn't instant articles killed?
It's AMP now, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Well, the other thing still works, but AMP works awesomely well within Facebook.
I'm more wondering who actually knows what AMP is and who has recognized it once. Could you put your hand up? That's half of it.
A lot.
Oh, more 60.
You're reading our blog well. So who here actually realizes that he clicks on those results on mobile or on desktop even? Okay.
Who likes it better than the other results?
I do.
That's what I as well.
No, I searched for like Bank of England today because they've increased the rate by 0.25% or something stupid like that, and all the top results are all AMP, and it just makes it easy to go.
Yeah, it's really fast. And we're pretty spoiled in Holland, I think. We got really good internet everywhere, even in here in an old building. I mean, there's 4G. The moment you step outside and go into, other countries in Europe or...
like Dusseldorf.
Yeah, for instance.
Place
No, you mean the page speed is dropping for you if you don't have an AMP in place. So as a user, I'm really happy with it. As a, SEO or even webmaster, I would say, knock off with that rubbish, but
it's scary. So The Guardian has shown some examples of where their AMP pages were offset against their normal pages, and their normal pages were so speed optimized that they were faster than the AMP pages when they were not cached. But when they were cached by Google, the AMP pages always win because Google is so fast. AMP it's changing so fast, but it's also, if it really becomes everything, it means rebuilding a lot of websites.
But the thing about it though, isn't it, it's like, it depends what industry you're in. I mean, if you're an e-commerce platform, then realistically, I mean, I know eBay switched a lot of its stuff over to AMP, but that's just the BHP stuff. But if you're a newspaper and you're reliant on advertisements, then I can see you having an issue.
I think it's more or less based on intent as well. I mean, if you're having a listed page on an e-commerce website, and you're browsing for different kind of things, different dresses or shoes, I think it's more important to have more of the AMP pages in place than, for instance, if you want to buy a specific pair. It's based on query intention as well, I think.
And the problem is, it's like most people, I put myself in the same category, just don't have the balls to go out and go, I'm not going to do AMP. You know what I mean? If the BBC said, nah, Guardian, nah, Telegraph, and you go to an AMP page, you go to an AMP search result, and it's just rubbish in there, that's where the spammers are playing, Google would knock it on the head. But because they get the buy-in from large corporations with small testicles.
They don't get the buy-in, they pay for it. I mean, at the Guardian, Google
but
paid for large parts of the AMP
But
development.
then it'll disappear though. Those payments they'll do exactly what they did with local search. They partner with 5 or 6 different websites. I worked with one of them at the time. They didn't pay them. Is my NDA expired or not? I don't know. What they did was they didn't pay them directly, but traffic was sent. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, of course, they're always like a drug dealer. Spoon and syringe, you get that for free. Cool, right? I mean, but that's what it is, right?
And 4 days worth of drugs. Yeah, we'll see on the 5th. Yeah. But once they've got a platform that they can take that data from, if they work out a way of crawling a website, stripping all the content out of it and sticking it into their own AMP pages, they will do it.
Oh, they still force webmasters to it. I mean, like seriously, I mean, we're always talking about Microsoft, hey, they have 20% market share in the US. Yeah, for desktop searches, right? I mean, desktop searches are dying, or basically the people that do desktop searches are dying, right? Like all the new people coming to the world are using mobile more and more, and Google has 95% market share on the mobile search market. So they can pretty much, force webmasters to adopt that thing, right? Because it's faster.
They can't though, can't. That's the whole thing. If you think about it, if the people that have got the big balls go, you know what? It's like, if we do this in 5 years' time, we might not be an industry. And I don't mean the SEO industry, I mean things like The Guardian, The Telegraph, and The Metro, and The Sun, UK newspapers, basically. Because if they lose their ad revenue, they've got nothing else left. You know what I mean? They have to start propping themselves up by buying things like Auto Trader and car, this and...
But that's the problem, right? If everybody does it, and you're the only one that's not in the carousel, right? I mean, you're not going to get any traffic, right? You have to do it to compete.
And that's why I love the word cartel.
So this is really clear. I want to go to the next question. We have any question from the audience? A lot of them.
Where's the
mic?
boss? Throw it to Rian.
And catch.
That was the worst shot ever. I hit 3 people.
But it was Carl though.
Lately, Google will reward mobile layout, how it works on mobile. Is there a way Google will index accessibility in websites? Because nowadays we're interacting with different kind of accessible technology. Mm-hmm. Will Google reward like the quality of semantic HTML and how it works, like with voice?
You'd hope they would.
I don't think they will.
No, it's far too much work.
So the only reason is too much work?
I think it breaks a lot of other stuff.
Yeah, it's not too much work for the webmasters. It's too much work for Google to work out whether it's semantically correct, whether it's semantically faked, like microdata stuff, you know what I mean, the microdata following. It's, you want 5 stars, bing, bing, no problem. You know what I mean? You just lie. If you get caught, you got to blame someone, so you find a bus and push. But there's just too much. The system's just not there for it.
What you have to realize is that as soon as Google announces something as a ranking factor, or even the rumor goes out that something is a ranking factor, it will be spammed. And it will not be spammed a bit, but it will be spammed to oblivion. So I think actually that good accessibility leads to better websites and thus to better user signals. And with that, accessibility probably already is some sort of a ranking factor, because a good accessible website will probably lead to more of everything. But to look at that specifically would be a lot of work in terms of engineering time for, in their eyes, probably very little extra feedback. So I don't think so. If anything, I think the number of ranking factors is slowly going down because they're getting better at just eliminating those and figuring out which things matter and which things don't.
Yeah, and I think this is exactly the case, right? It's not about ranking factors anymore, right? Because Google is really determining if somebody searches for this is the best result. If it has 2 H1s or what, it just really doesn't matter. What makes it maybe this successful, it is successful, and this is what it's there, right? And from that set, you can also derive different ranking factors. So in one area, it might be more beneficial to have longer content. In some cases, it makes sense to have video on your site because everybody else has it, right? And this is the kind of stuff. You shouldn't really aim for like optimizing specific ranking factors, but what is this guy you're really trying to find? And I want to be the best freaking result for that particular query, and really don't care about the rest. Besides, it needs to be fast, it needs to be omni-device friendly and all that kind of stuff, right? Like the normal cleanliness. But this is the great thing about Google. Google doesn't have to do that stuff anymore because they just listen very closely to the user, that is how he's interacting with different SERPs, how he's interacting with your website, to really find, okay, that's a good result. You should be ranking on number 1.
Actually, they're aware of the issue, because if you have the Lighthouse Searchlight, what's it? Plug in and you do audit, it actually says you can rank it for, is it a progressive web app? Is it fast enough? And one of the issues is also accessibility. You get a rating of how much you've tried to be accessible. I'm not sure how much that lives up to the standards that you're used to work with, but they're aware of it and they're trying to incorporate it in
some of that,
educate people.
Yeah, some of that they do. The mobile friendliness test that they've had around for a while, it looks at the sizes of clickable areas and stuff like that. So it looks at specific things that they think relate to user friendliness, which have a lot of tie-ins to accessibility. In the end, it boils down to my advice always being make a good website that is properly accessible. And one of the things that you have to keep in mind with that as well is that if the last 5% of your users can also use that website well, that might be the tipping point in your user signals compared to what all the other websites have. So if you're in a very competitive space, the tipping point of are you number 1 or number 2 could just well be that last bit of accessibility, because you get those last bit of user signals that those other websites do not get.
Might be even that Google figured out who has disabilities or not, or needs accessibility. No, you don't want that, but it might be that they're working on stuff like that as well.
No,
I wouldn't be surprised, actually.
That would make sense. Well, can you remember the situation where they got tinked for delivering different types of ads to different people's names? Yeah. Remember that? So if your name was something like Lord George Smythe, and you search for loan, you'd get bank loans from reputable banks. If your name was Marcus Tandler, you may get payday loan ads.
Payday loan? Really?
I didn't want to. Seriously, the article, in my opinion, was very racist. The way that they put this out, but they profiled by ethnicity.
Ethnicity?
That's the one. Yeah, you see, I knew I'd got it right the first time. I know.
Yeah, you're the
I don't think that's an English word, though. Ethnicity.
Next question.
Oh, there's a lot.
There's plenty, yeah. Further around town. It's your choice.
Hi. I would actually like to circle back to a question we had during the CRO session, because if I hear you correctly, basically you're saying SEO, CRO, usability is all coming closer together. It's all about the user. There was a question this morning about if you're looking for a gas station, petrol station, you come to a website. If that website immediately gives you what you want, we don't get all the clicks on the site. Is that really bad for that site?
Damn, no.
No,
That's
awesome.
perfect.
That's awesome. That's perfect. That's absolutely perfect.
Thank you.
And this is the
I
thing.
just wanted that clarified.
And that's the thing. You know, Carl is more of an SEO than a lot of us. Right? And he doesn't want to hear that, and he sure doesn't
Thank
want to
you.
have that on his business card. But he's a more SEO like, and this is the thing, right? I mean, like, look for something like hotels, Hotel Amsterdam or something like this, right? And then you have the people like looking for that, and you have the SEO content. Amsterdam is a nice city. 1.5 million live in Amsterdam. There's a lot of green space in Amsterdam. La la la. Right? So they write this SEO content. What is the content if somebody is looking for Hotel Amsterdam? Freaking hotels in Amsterdam, right? And nobody wants to read that stuff. But everybody's doing it, so everybody is also doing that SEO. It's horrible, right? And this is the exact same thing. If somebody is searching for exactly this is all he wants, and he has a satisfied search, and then he goes on to search something different, Google knows, oh, when people search this is the perfect site, although it has nothing but a search box or whatever on that, right? And that's it, right? So what Carl is doing is very, very good SEO.
Yeah. The problem obviously
Els is doing it with him, but
so you're an SEO as well.
Disclaimer, I am Carl's business partner, but I felt this question was not answered this morning, so I wanted an SEO expert to really answer that, because I don't feel like I am one, and I'm sure you guys are.
I mean, the thing about it is that if that petrol station was making revenue from ads that was getting displayed, then you want to go, where's the nearest petrol station to you? Here's the 5 different ones, and you pick one of those as more impressions, A, B, C, and D. But if you were trying to satisfy, because at the end of the day, they don't make money by people visiting their website. They make money by people putting fuel into their vehicles. Yeah, you know what I mean? So, and
which
that's
is not a business that's going to be around for long, so it might as well make it now.
Yeah. Do you want to find the nearest petrol station or buy a Tesla?
Who else?
Oh, that's going to be a real long chuck, that.
Let's see how that goes.
If you don't know what chuck is, it's like, interception and fumble. Pass it on. Can you ask a question if you catch it?
I just want to follow up on that, which was a follow-up from before. So I hear what you're saying, and I love CRO if you get the traffic, right? Because then it's based on the performance indicators like you just talked about. But to drive the traffic, don't you need more broad search terms and a lot of content?
Yeah, but you need quality content. You don't. If I hear the term SEO copy one more time, I think I'm going to scream. The thing is that
SEO copy.
I was going to say, what you need to do is speak to me later about SEO copy, and we can sort it out.
You're going to high pitch or a
If
low
you're
pitch.
looking for
Can you give us 5 tips to write perfect SEO copy?
Can you do TF-WIDF thing in there as well?
Hey, dude.
If you're looking for gas, tilde, petrol, tilde, diesel, tilde, ultra diesel.
this is what you know people for like 10 years, right? The thing is that, of course, yes, you need copy to be able to rank for stuff. Of course, you need copy to be in those search results, but that copy needs to be something that people actually want to read, because if it's not, there's no reason for it to exist.
In general, if you look at content, it's not only about, text is the most easiest thing for Google to actually figure out. So the moment you start adding new things in there, it's getting harder for Google to figure out if that new thing is even better than the text they recognized before. So incorporating more other items as content is a good thing, but you rarely see it outrank content in general.
No.
Yeah. I mean, the petrol station one's most probably the classic. They don't need content on that page at all to rank for the terms that we were talking about, because Google has worked out quite efficiently that SEO sells petrol. You know what I mean? If you were to look for
Near me, I guess.
On near me stuff, yeah. But if you were to look for 2-day-old sandwich from a petrol station, then maybe SEO wouldn't rank so well for that. Maybe it's eBay, maybe it's Gumtree, I don't know.
Why would you search for that? Just
because sometimes that's what I like.
The 2-day-old sandwich from a petrol station.
Damn, yeah.
Also
Awesome.
cheap discount, something like that.
yeah.
Yay.
Voucher code industry.
Does that answer the question? I think so.
Yeah.
Is the my cube already there? Or no?
No, it's still there. I think I saw it.
Throw it that
yeah,
way.
throw it that way.
He's going to ask about what's the perfect SEO copy.
Somewhere.
Hello. 1 second.
Please stand up.
I have one question about the future of voice search, because if you buy Google Home, is it possible to directly buy stuff without touching any computer or something?
Yes. There's a shopping list on there. Google actually wants to figure out, I'm not sure if they do right now, because, well, in Holland, obviously not working. But they actually are willing to use the product listing ads for that, to see, you don't even know where it's coming from, it's just going to come to your house.
Okay.
That's the ideal of Google, of having their shopping list in place. But it's one app that's delivered with it.
Yeah, I still have an issue with that though.
Funnily enough, Michiel showed me this last week. Ahold, who he works for, actually in their Appy app now has a lot of search by voice options and options to actually put stuff on your shopping list through their app on the iPhone, which works pretty well.
You can actually ask Siri to add bananas to your shopping list. That's no problem.
When I come into the home of a friend who has Google Home, I come in and say, Google, please order large condoms, extra large, 100 pack. I love it. Wasn't the first time.
Oh, if your neighbor annoys you through the letterbox, that works too. Alexa, add lube.
I think there was this idea at SEO Oktoberfest that you would drive by with a car which has speakers on there and said, Alexa, open the door and stuff like whatever, right?
Turn on the lights.
TV
Turn on the lights.
Television ad.
Yeah.
And they just finished with Alexa, add my book to, and people will have it turned on. It's just
download Yoast SEO plugin.
The first person to do a TV ad that has the text, okay Google.
Yeah, wasn't it Burger King or something like that?
Yeah. It's awesome.
It's an awesome ad, yeah. Buy this. Everybody buys it.
Well, even just to drive searches for your own brand, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome.
2 day old.
It also shows how stupid it still is. It shows how stupid that system still is. But yeah, in the end, it will probably work, yes.
My kids love it though. They really play around with it. They even do a little bit of English. They're filling up my history. You can see back what you used. They're filling up the history with all kinds of search terms because they're using it on YouTube. They're using it on the Play Store. Every device they find around. If they see the microphone, they're lazy enough to do that.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Awesome. A lot of people.
Cool. One topic that has not been discussed and is really important for me is video content. So I think it's Cisco who said that by the year 2019, 80% of the traffic will be video content. And my question is, how should we, or is it even possible to optimize video for search engines?
Well, it used to be a lot easier than it is now, and that's because we killed it.
Why? Yeah.
And I'm sorry.
Yeah. This is the guy who ruined it for us all. This is the guy.
Back to a few years ago, there were video snippets in the search results for just about every website that had video content on it. If you'd optimized that video snippet well. So you didn't have separate video search, but those video snippets showed up in all the search results. We sold this plugin, and still sell this plugin, called Video SEO, which optimized videos. And the problem was that too many people were using it. So there were too many search results with video snippets. In fact, I think I was ranking with Matt Kutz's face for just about every search term in the SEO space for a while. And then Google shut that down and limited that to YouTube and a couple of other large video sites. So now normal sites can no longer optimize that video content easily, except on a video platform.
No, but it's not a good experience as well for a lot of sites because, well, a lot of players, general players, are not that well. So I can imagine that I know what I'm going to get if I click on a YouTube link, and it's going to be a good video watching experience. Yeah, in general, if you look at the number, I think that's Netflix included, right? If we pull that off, how many still left?
Well, there's very few. I think it's a list of like 70 sites that can do this. So this is one of the things where the difference in language becomes really important. And if you look at YouTube and you upload an English language video, YouTube automatically generates subtitles in English, and you can read those. And if you're easy to understand, those subtitles are actually very, very good. If you're like Dave, it's probably slightly worse. But in English, that works. In Dutch, that doesn't work. So there's a difference there, and that's just because they have very little data on Dutch compared to how much data they have on English. So optimizing video becomes easier as they get better at that, because that means that they can, in English they actually can, and they will sometimes. They will sometimes bring you to the exact second within the video where someone was saying what you were searching for, because that's how well they know some of that. And that's where you don't really need to optimize the video anymore even. I want to say one thing about the Cisco stat though, because Cisco is saying 80% of web traffic is video. That doesn't mean that 80% of web pages visited has video on it. That means that 80% of the total amount of kilobytes of traffic being sent over the web is video, and that is much more data for video than it is for a normal web page. So it's not 80% of visitors.
That's a lot of porn.
It's a lot less.
It's a lot of Netflix.
Yeah, that's a lot of porn.
Yeah,
It's a lot of porn. It's a lot of Netflix. It's a lot of porn. It's a lot.
Well, but to be honest, people watch Netflix a little bit longer than porn.
I just understood.
Just saying.
Netflix
You might resonate with my answer.
Is it Netflix and chill like that?
Dual screen.
Next question.
Good catch.
Hello. Okay. So there's been a lot of talk about site speed and accessibility. Sorry. With that in mind, what do you guys think about the Accelerated Mobile Pages project? Specifically, how much do they affect mobile rankings and in what situations?
We went there.
I won't go on the AMP stuff, but I'll give you a really nice little case study. We had a Magento, I think it was, install, and they had a load of links down the side that, let's say, like color and then t-shirts as an example. So you click black and t-shirt, the URL would change to black t-shirt. If you clicked t-shirt and black, the URL would be the opposite way around, depending on which way you picked them. If you picked black, red, t-shirt, so it ended up with about 2 million URLs. And Google was spidering those quite aggressively. We peaked, I think, around about 1.8 million pages indexed in Google Webmaster Tools. And you could see the crawl was going up, and it was just insane. And our CTR dropped through the floor because Google was just killing the server. And our rankings were all slowly slipping. We finally fixed it after the devs bowed to our superior knowledge of how search engines work. And we robust.txt out a big area of the website. Almost overnight, our crawl and our CPU went almost to nothing. And I was like, yeah, he killed it. Within about a week, we had went from sort of like average 7.8 to 2.3. And then all of a sudden, all the one boxes just triggered because of the speed. So if you don't, the speed alone is good for desktop and is good for mobile. AMP, if you're a news site or like a review site, anything that's content heavy, you just need to move. You need to push into an AMP environment and then work out how you can monetize that. Without it, I think that you're treading a really kind of like a thin line between will my content ever show up again. But I don't think AMP and mobile indexation are tied at all at this moment in time, but I can see it coming.
Thank you.
5 minutes.
7, it says.
It says 7 or 4 over there.
Yeah.
Are you going to start handling other things up? Shut up.
Let my brother speak.
That's not nice.
Let me guess.
Right, so I've got a more practical question for myself, actually. I'm an SEO specialist at a website, and I've got a bit of a problem with Googlebot crawling a lot of our ads, actually. So it's not AdsBot crawling them, it's
Googlebot.
It's Googlebot. So I'm really wondering how that could be, because we don't link to those links. I'm really sure of that, because we use a tool. We use a tool that generates those links with parameters in them. So I have no clue how Google actually gets to them and why Googlebot would be doing that crawl.
So one of the things they did, I'm thinking of the name of the update, I think, was that Caffeine? But one of the updates is where they threw all the indexing data from all the different bots into one big bin, and all of the systems use the same bin of data. So it could actually be Googlebot that's crawling your pages, but it might still be doing that for AdWords.
Yeah.
So if you disable AdWords for those URLs, it might actually not have those. It might actually not do that crawling anymore. If it does, then you are leaking those URLs somewhere.
Yeah.
So one of the things that could be happening is if your system is maintaining URL parameters somewhere.
Yeah.
So if it hits it with AdsBot and then it finds links on those pages with that URL parameter on that page, then it would go into the crawl, into the big list of URLs that they need to crawl for your site.
Google does that for a long time. I mean, the GL CIDs from the AdWords, they were in the index before. I mean, there were loads of affiliate links in the index before as well.
Yeah.
So it's not something weird. If you want to prevent it, you have to block it. The question is if it's a smart thing to do or not.
Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
how are you delivering the ads at the moment? Are you an ad? Is the ads getting crawled from your website, or are you delivering the ads onto other people's websites?
No, they're AdWords.
It's Google Ads. So
It's a bid manager, I think, isn't it?
It's feed management. We do it through feed management in a tool called BidGenius. That's a Dutch tool.
Yeah, I think it was built by a company I didn't want to talk about when I was still at.
So
they're done right.
Are you using like redirects in there as well?
What, in those ad links?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
And no canonical on the page too? Or
on those ad pages, there are canonicals. They are canonical to without the app parameter.
But Google still shows the parameter in the index.
It crawls it.
It crawls it. It doesn't show up.
So I'm looking at the server logs. It just shows
Oh, yeah, well, it will. I mean, Gbot will crawl anything if it can find one, and also if it can guess. So if your ads are like the ad 1, ad 2, ad 3, you'll see a request for ad 4. If it 4 10s, 4 4s, or 500s or anything like that, it'll stop the guessing. If it does a soft, and you know what I mean, and
it's
all
one
of
of
a
my
sudden
favorite things to do is getting Google to crawl itself. You'll remember the Yoast Suggest tool that we have on Yoast.com, Yoast.com/suggest, which is basically scraping Google Suggest. If we open that up to Google, Google starts throwing random words in there, which we then pull the Google Suggest API for to get their results, and then it starts crawling more of those.
That was Zippy.
That's
exactly how we got Zippy all indexed.
Oh, I remember Zippy.
Yeah, you basically put one URL into it, and it would go a million pages. What if I put 5 URLs into it? What if I crawl Alexa top 100? Put that in. Yeah, that went. Yeah, I turned that off.
So Google is weird in how it crawls. It really tries to get everything.
There's one more
on
question,
the
I think.
We have time for one more question, apparently.
Yeah. Sidekick.
Fingers.
It better be good. No pressure.
Where's the best place to buy links?
So about SEO copy.
I think you gotta ask for a drink.
Do you have any guiding principles for optimizing content for keywords where we can't discern intent? So take SEO before. If they wanted to optimize content towards people searching just petrol, there's no intent behind that. They could want information, they could want to buy, they could want to find. How do we approach that?
Usually, what Google does is give you a SERP page with mixed results, and they see how many people are clicking on what is the most important. They shovel it, and then the moment they shovel it, they're looking at your history as well, try to make a segment out of that, and then try to figure out, based on all that data, okay, this is, if you search for SEO, you're probably looking for a gas station, because you're new in town, and well, something like that. And if somebody who's looking for SEO and he lives near one and he comes there, because they track your phone, they might be looking for opening hours or for instance, information about petrol and the quality of petrol?
In the it's actually in the patent. It's QDD. Query deserves diversity, right? So if I don't know what you're really looking for, I give you a diverse result set, and most of the time it's fed by the refined searches people are doing, right? So somebody might search for petrol, but there's a high chance that people are searching for buy petrol or petrol gas station or petrol gas price, petrol gas price history, or whatever people are searching on that, right? And depending on how often these refined searches are searched, this is basically how they combine a result for petrol. Basically really trying to find out, so what are you trying to do? And since I know petrol is very broad, and most people are actually doing another refined search because they don't find what they're looking for, basically Google tries to feed it in that search already to basically save you one more search, one more click. And basically, and they measure it, as Roy said, and then they see, most people searching for petrol are actually looking for, it's just a sucking example, I'm sorry.
Unless QDF kicks in and say petrol prices go up treble, then all of a sudden SO, BP disappear and it all becomes news related. So
QDF, query deserves freshness.
Yes. QDD, query deserves Dave.
Thank you. Thank you.